Most people think limits are physical. And the truth is, the hardest barriers are the ones that no one else can see. Now, let's have ourselves a pocket sized pep talk and dig into a story of brotherhood, purpose, and perseverance that's moved audiences and corporations alike and challenges how we think about disability, resilience, and what's truly possible.
A Pocket Sized Pep Talk, the podcast that can help energize your business and your life with a quick, inspiring message. Now, here's your host, Rob Jollis.
Today's guest, Kyle Pease and his brother Brent, are a world-renowned push-assist duo, disability advocates, and co-founders of the Kyle Pease Foundation, a nonprofit that champions inclusivity in sports and the workforce for individuals with disabilities. Their inspiring story has been captivating audiences worldwide, especially after they made history as the first brother team to compete the grueling IRONMAN World Championship in Kona, Hawaii, as a push-assist duo. Happy to have you with us, and welcome to the show, fellas.
Hey, thank you for having us, Rob.
Excited to be here.
Good to see you. And I'm going to slip into, I got to work this in. I thought I'd work it in subtly, but I'm going to work it in now. Believe it or not, ironically, and a guy who's done over 600 podcasts, I've never put this on the air. 1983, I was in the 5th World Ironman ever. So I've been to Kona, and I've been on the island, and I just remember those winds.
Oh, yeah.
Those winds were cruel because they hit you going out, and somehow magically they hit you coming back. And I just didn't think that was fair. It was a little depressing. On the bike in particular, thinking this is not the way the world's supposed to work. Right. It's like going down going up a hill. At least I get to go down it, not at Kona. But anyway, I know the course, and I got a lot of appreciation for what you're doing. I want to start with the concept of endurance. People hear endurance and they think, physical strength. How much of the journey for you has been, more mental or emotional?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think for me, because obviously my brother does the physical task of of a race for us, that my job is to keep us mentally in the game for however long it takes us to get to the finish line. So not only do I have to compete with my cerebral palsy and everything that comes along with that, but just keeping but positive and engaged and encouraged throughout the race.
Right. So Kyle, are you talking to him a lot as he's doing this?
Well, yeah. We believe that I always wanted to be the athlete. So I am on the front of the bike, but it has all the gears at the back to propel us to where we need to go. So we're always constantly talking. It's a little hard to talk at Kona because of the wind and everything that you just mentioned.
Damn wind.
We have a great conversation throughout our day.
Yeah. I kind of envy that because again, when I did it, I remember, obviously in the water you're not talking to anybody, and then you're transitioning, and it's a lot of time just kind of with yourself. At least you guys are in partners. What about you, Brent? What about how much of that is emotional versus physical?
What's the Yogi Berra quote? Baseball's 90% mental or physical, and the other half is mental, right? Like that's kind of how I feel. Like it's a huge physical lift for me, but it doesn't mean that I get to just completely turn off the mind. But I tap into my mental reserves by leaning into Kyle and leveraging the way he approaches not only the races but life, and that allows us to both be present and of sound mind for something as grueling as an Ironman.
Who's the older brother here?
I've got 2 years on him.
All right. You all right with that, Kyle?
Hey, it is what it is.
So wait, so when you did Hawaii, it was in February, correct?
Yeah, it was the last year they did it in February.
Was it Oahu or you were on the Big Island,
I
right?
was on the Big Island,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I was coming from Washington D.C., so I was as white as a ghost.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it was really tough. I was really a pool swimmer,
Right.
so fortunately, the swim wasn't really as challenging for me. The water was nice and warm, and it didn't get to me. I just I just had to be careful not to burn
Right.
because and they and I wanted to make this about me, but they put lotion on me as fast as they could, and they missed like a little sickle, and it burned a scar in my back that lasted about 10 years. And I remember, I was single at the time. I loved that scar because it was a tough topic to bring up out of the air. But
Right.
when somebody say, "What's that?" I go, "Well, because you're
Glad you
asking."
asked. But you never asked.
Yeah. You got a presentation called Find Your Finish. It's a keynote topic that you're doing. What does that mean to you? How do we apply that to our own lives?
Yeah, so so much of what we did for the first 8 to 10 years of our racing was about finding the finish.
Mhm.
But what evolved for us was understanding that the finish wasn't the destination, right? It was really the process of finding the finish of what you went through, what you experienced, how you grew as a human, and now looking back on it, we could say each of the, I mean, we've done 6 Ironmans together. So we could say each of those was its own experience. But when we look back on the last 15 years of racing together, it's really been the collective experiences of all of those. So, finding your finish is really finding your path to what growth, excellence, success looks like and how you get there along the way, not just the thing that you're pursuing.
And we cater it to every audience that we speak to. As you know, doing triathlons is a rare thing these days, and not a lot of audiences that we have spoken to do the Ironman. So how do we help them in their professional career to see their full potential and push past any challenges that they might have?
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting topic and tremendous goal because I can tell you that I think I was 24 or something at the time. I have never forgotten the experience. It's with me pretty much every day, and I admire the fact you've done so many races. I was a marathon guy. I did one Ironman. It was like, nah, I've been up that mountain. That's good enough for me now. I didn't want to do another one and be 3 minutes slower, So I kind of moved forward and went for some other
Right.
races. But to your point, finishing it, setting the goal and finishing it served me for the rest of my corporate life and business life and personal life. So I really admire the fact that you've got a much more interesting story than mine, but taking that story and really helping people remember you don't have to do this race to understand what a race like this is all about. I don't think people get that from watching the television.
No, no, not at all. I mean, not at all. It's yeah. When you have a television program condensed down to 90 minutes or 2 hours, what is the course of, even for an elite triathlete doing it in 8 hours, 9 hours, doesn't fully. I wish there was a way for them to truly, in this world, there probably is, right? A live stream, with made for TV production level of, a little tape delay, if you will. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to convey to the general population of what you're, physically and mentally going through in an event like Ironman.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking at some point somebody will have our own little miniature drone that will just follow us, follow each group around. I can't believe we're that far away from it either, by the way. If you watch the Olympics,
And no kidding.
there were a lot of those little miniature drones. They look
Yeah,
like baseballs.
they were really cool to watch, especially on the bobsled and the luge.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I heard the athletes say that they were getting used to the buzzing noises.
Right.
Everywhere they're going, I was like, it's like buzzes coming around. Uh, All right. You were also together we wheel
Hmm.
is one of your mantras. I guess that's how you've shaped your relationship in a sense. Tell us what that means to you.
Together we will meet that we are a team and that we're gonna do it together no matter what the obstacle might be thrown at us that we can overcome it together through our love and our dedication and determination for one another.
Take that and let's pretend you guys are going to a Bank of America meeting. They're having their kickoff. That's where you're going to be keynoting. How do you take that message together we wheel and bring it to a financial institution?
Yeah, so thank you for the nice direction lead there. I mean, really what it's about, as Kyle said, it's about the relationship, the love, but what that is it's what we do. It requires both of us, and even more so, it requires a whole host of individuals. It literally requires a team, and as a team, we can say we will or we won't. And whatever we choose to say is going to be the correct way that it's going to play out because we're right if that's the approach. And so the approach was always that we're going to do this together. I could sit here today and say, you know what, Rob, let's get Kyle off the pod because I've been the one physically carrying him all these years. I push the pedals, but that's not what's created success for us. And Kyle could say, gosh, my brother has begged for mercy in the middle of these races. He's crawled into the woods and told me he was never coming out. And I'm the reason, but it's not even that. I mean, there's mechanics that come with us. There's family and supporters. And so when you think about your success as a company or as a team, it's as a collection of individuals, moving forward, or in our case, wheeling forward. Together we wheel. And we try to bring that out because we would be naive at best to say that we did this in a vacuum. We did this as a result of our environment and the team that supports us.
Yeah. Right. Did you really crawl into the woods one time?
I did, 2014, 2014.
Okay.
We've told that story 1,000 times,
All right,
Rob.
you don't have to tell it again.
No,
I just
I went
wanted to
in
make
and I
sure that
wasn't
you
coming
weren't.
out.
Okay. Okay. Uh, I can tell you for me, the most difficult race I've ever competed in was a swim race, but it
Mhm.
was across the Chesapeake Bay, and I you kind of can't quit when you're in the water when you're in water. But if there was a woods, I would have crawled into it. I can assure you that was a bad one. Again,
Mhm.
one and done for me on that one. The they're obviously we're talking about the disabilities as well. Some disabilities are invisible, but I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. What do you wish people truly grasped about navigating through disabilities? And I know that's a wide open question, and yeah, I'm looking at Kyle too on this one. Um, what do you wish people would understand about people with disabilities, such as yourself?
That that we have a purpose and that we matter. And although it may look different the way we do things, that we deserve a seat at the table, just like everybody else does.
Right.
And don't go off of a resume or the physical challenges that I face on a day-to-day basis. I want you to look at me as a person and see what I can bring to the table. Like with me working with Brett at our foundation, I want him to hold me to the highest standards as everybody else on our team. If I mess up, tell me in a constructive way what I can be doing better. And if I deserve an attaboy, um, give it attaboys where it needed. But just treat me just like any other body of yours.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because I think sometimes the instinct, although meaning so well, is to go overboard. In other words, to treat you differently
Yep.
because of the disability, because I really want to be such a wonderful person. And yet maybe the best way for me to be a wonderful person is to, you know, throw throw an ice cream cone at you too. Whatever's going on,
Right.
you get one too. but
Yeah.
just ignore the disability.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a woman that told me this great story. She had another nonprofit called Kate's Club, and she lost her mother as a middle schooler. And at that time, yo mama jokes were popular. And she said the hardest part for her wasn't that she lost her mother, it was that people stopped telling yo mama jokes around her. So not only did she not have a mom like everybody else, but now she wasn't included. And I saw that so much for us growing up that it was kind of like you said, throw the ice cream cone at Kyle too. Like all
Right.
the kids were getting in trouble because they did something at school and Kyle was with them. And it was like, don't worry about it, Kyle. And the rest of the kids went to the principal's office. It was like, no, send Kyle too. Let
Right.
him experience this because he was kind of begging, not begging for it, but he was asking for it to
Right.
just be part of the conversation, to be included in what they were doing or what we were doing.
Yeah. I've always wanted to write a book called Instinct versus Logic because what you're saying is very logical. Instinctively, it's not.
For
And so
sure.
it's important that we have conversations like these because it's certainly easy to act on. It's just not the instinct that most of us have. We're a little too careful.
Mhm.
So, huh. You mentioned a minute ago in terms of the team. What's harder for you guys, the race itself or the preparation behind it?
Oh, great.
I think the race. I still think the race. I
Yeah.
think, and we talked about it. Talking about find your finish. We've also learned that that's part of the fun. The time that we do get to spend, and there's challenges within that. But the race day itself it's a much higher stress environment. You've put yourself out there to fail in front of everybody, and that's not an easy thing to do for a lot of people.
Right.
So if I could just train with Kyle all year, we might roll for that. In fact, we might just do that this year and not race. But yeah, racing's always been the harder one for me.
For me, if I may, and I don't know about you all, you're probably going to have to go back. You've raced so often, but if you go back to the beginning, for me, it was the dreams. I just had
Mm.
these dreams constantly that I was missing my bike. I showed up on the wrong day. I flew to the wrong town. And they just were relentless. So come race day for me, I was always happy just to be there. Everything was lined up. Now all I have to do is just go. But I didn't have a team around me, and I didn't have the resume you guys have. I really was. I would find a challenge, do a challenge, move to another challenge. But I just could never sleep for weeks beforehand. Any dreams early on, or is that just a Rob thing?
I think, I think what we weren't as good at early on was actually putting ourselves, we were so worried about, obviously Ironman has cutoffs, right?
Yeah.
And so we were so petrified of the swim bike cutoff, which is 10 and a half hours, but we would never talk about it, outside of maybe us and like our coach. And it would actually create, real tension because I would start like over a period of months, I would work myself into a frenzy. So it wasn't that I was, not sleeping for weeks. It was that for months on end, I just started building this narrative of, well, we'll never make the bike cutoff.
Right.
And that's kind of what I was talking about of like, for us to be on the find your finish is like looking back on it now, I had to go through that. So Kyle could talk to me in a way that actually connected me to his disability, to help me kind of see the possible instead of the impossible and to frame the conversation that way. Which gave me a better appreciation of like, I can't even get out of this chair. Let's
Right.
start there.
Right.
So then let's start to think about what we're both still able to do. And, it took me time. I didn't have that as a strong skill. So,
Right.
yeah, no nightmares though.
Right. So that's perspective. You basically were inserting perspective into the conversation. Uh,
Hmm.
That's what teammates do.
That's
Uh,
right.
you know, it's in my relationship. I've always wanted to write a book called "Not Only Do Opposites Attract, They Must Attract," because I think really the brotherhood that you guys have is each one providing something that the other doesn't have.
Right.
If you both were the same, I mean that's nice, but I don't think it's a very rich relationship, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
Agree. Yeah.
When you tell your story, what surprises you most when people hear your story?
Well, I think if you've never met us, it's the Iron Man, like just trying to fathom how Kyle does it. I mean, it beats the heck out of Kyle too, physically, everything we're talking about. I think for those that are aware of our story in some fashion, I think it's more about what Kyle's set out to do for others. That we could sit here with you today about the last 15 years of racing, and that would still be an important or special conversation. But for the last 15 years, Kyle's championed inclusion for, hundreds of other families. Because the way I said it to Kyle once when we watched a team that didn't finish an Ironman, he couldn't see him. And he said, well, what was that like back there? And I said, Kyle, I think everybody should get to experience what you did. And that was what the Kyle Peace Foundation was for, people to feel included. And I think that's what surprises people.
I believe what surprises people is that it makes them a little bit curious to step outside of their comfort zone and see what they can do. See how they can be a better husband or a better wife or a better co-worker, whatever it is for them, to really reach across and kick on somebody and see how they're doing. And I think that is one of my gifts, that I want people to reach across the table to me and say, what can I do? Like, how can I help? Like, put the ball in my court, right? Like, so that's what I love about doing races with my brother and creating this unbelievable nonprofit and helping people see a new perspective on life and how they can achieve their possible as well.
So here's my last question for you. When you look beyond the finish lines and the records, what does a life beyond limits actually mean to you now?
I think that's a great answer, and it's an answer that I have been doing for 41 years of my life. I know no other way. My life is very challenging, and it is totally relying on other people to help me get through my day, whether it's going to the restroom or having a meal, like somebody has to help me do all of that. So I know no other way. That's the only way, is to be bold, is to live, in a vulnerable state to help people see my possible, even when I don't see my possible. And that is what my brother has helped me to realize every day.
You going to touch that, or you want to leave that one alone?
Usually going after Kyle is a bad idea. I guess cut this as you wish. I would just say that limits are usually self-imposed.
Right.
And anything that we've done, as Kyle said, in his 41 years of life has been because he chose not to place those limits, or our parents chose not to place those limits. And that's allowed us to experience things so far beyond the finish and any other accomplishment that we may have had as individuals and as brothers.
Yeah. It's a tremendous brotherhood bond. And I speak to you, Brent, to say that not every brother would dedicate their lives the way you have, So there's plenty to that answer for you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about the race. I'm just talking about being there as a brother.
So true.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed the conversation, guys. I really have. And it's inspiring. I wish you luck with the foundation, and I want you guys to catch some fire on that speaking circuit too. People need to hear this story. And I'll do what I can on this side. But I thank you for coming in and talking and letting me squeeze in a couple of my Ironman stories. Been a while, still wear my Ironman. So, buddy, I'll tell you what the future looks like, by the way. At this point, I'm a swimmer.
Yeah.
Never been hurt in the water, But boy, the running and the biking, that can chip away at you after a while. But
yeah, don't tell me that yet. We're still having fun. So.
Well, you've lost your hair too, by the way. I'm showing you the future. In any case, thanks so much. Love the talk, fellas.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. Well, we'll do it again as well as we can next time, everybody. Until then, stay safe.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please rate and recommend it on iTunes, Outcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information on this show and Rob at jollis.com.